An older woman declared that as of that day, Christina was expelled from the RICHEST family. She ordered Christina to pack her belongings and leave by tomorrow morning. Christina was caught off guard and could only respond with confusion. Christina recalled that these words would greatly change her fate as a merchant. Christina asked Lady Rose why she was being expelled and what she had done wrong. She believed she had done everything she could as a daughter of a distinguished Marquess family. A man in a hat and mask stood nearby with a smirk. Christina knew that the history of the RICHEST Marquess house went back 300 years to when the first-generation heroes, summoned from another world, defeated the demon race and saved the world. One of those heroes was granted a title and founded the RICHEST Trading Company. Lady Rose told Christina that she was unnecessary to the house. Christina protested, saying she had just been ordered by her father to become the manager of the southern branch starting next month. Lady Rose said that could not be. Lady Rose explained that the new hero summoning would soon take place, and that their Marquess house had received a royal decree to fully support the hero. As a result of the council meeting, the southern branch was entrusted with entertaining the hero and preparing any items he desired. However, Lady Rose stated that such a role was only suitable for someone who carried the rightful blood of the RICHEST family. She declared that someone tainted with filthy elf blood like Christina could never be entrusted with such a duty. Christina asked if Lady Rose had just called elves filthy. Lady Rose added that Christina should be grateful the family even kept the child of a concubine who had already passed in the mansion at all. Christina let out a sigh. Lady Rose continued, saying that the eldest son, Grandry, already managed the main store, and that the second son, Ostol, should naturally be entrusted with the southern branch. She also claimed she had heard Christina intended to use this chance to put herself forward as a successor candidate. Christina was shocked and asked who had said such things. She thought to herself that a demi-human becoming the head of the prestigious RICHEST family would be repulsive. Lady Rose sighed and said that her foolish brother had fed Christina more nonsense again. Christina thought to herself that a merchant must remain a gentleman or lady, as that was the teaching of the first RICHEST. She also thought that Lady Rose was eager to frame her. Lady Rose stated that Christina's expulsion had also been agreed upon by the current head, Bluza. Christina recalled that although her father cherished both her mother, his second wife, and Christina herself, he could not stand up to Lady Rose, the first wife from a ducal family. Lady Rose wanted her own sons to inherit both the family and the trading company. Christina thought that when negotiation was impossible, giving up was essential, and that it was pointless to say anything. Christina agreed and said she understood that she would pack her belongings and leave. Lady Rose told her to swear upon the RICHEST family crest. She also ordered Christina to leave the royal capital as well, since having her linger around would be troublesome. A tapestry embedded with a spirit seal of contract hung on the wall. Through the spirit, magical contracts were made, and breaking them caused intense pain and could even result in death. Christina thought that being hated this much was refreshing in its own way. She swore that from then on she would no longer call herself a RICHEST, that she would leave the royal capital within 3 days and never again step upon its soil. She swore in the name of the contract spirit. Engage. Lady Rose said that was sufficient and told Christina to hurry up and leave. Her brother P told Christina goodbye and to try not to die miserably on the streets. Christina went to her room to pack. She was sad that she could not say goodbye to her father, who was away on business, but she was relieved that she would not have to see those two again. She told herself not to dwell on it and to be decisive because it was all over now. Christina noted that her personal belongings were few. The only important thing was the grimoire her mother had left behind, a mysterious book called Shirley's Grimoire that could not be opened. Her mother had told her that a certain blessing was required to read it. In the RICHEST house, many people had awakened to special blessings passed down from the first RICHEST. Christina's elder and younger brothers had been granted wonderful blessings such as item box and product knowledge. Christina had never received any RICHEST family blessing. She had inherited the elf blood blessing called spirit magic, but she had never had a chance to learn magic, so it had gone to waste. She decided that even if she could not read the grimoire now, she would treasure it as her mother's keepsake. A butler named Jester then appeared and called out to Christina. The current head wanted Christina to at least carry something tied to the Marquess house. Christina was moved by the precious gift and thanked him. She began to tell Jester to relay a message to her father. The ring glowed briefly as she put it on, and she wondered if it was her imagination. Jester told Christina to take care. Christina thanked him and told him to take care of himself too. She left the mansion and decided to leave the capital and take a nice leisurely trip. 1 week after leaving the capital, Christina arrived at the commercial city of Mercaberry. She noted that the book called Hero Sayings, which compiled the words of the first hero, had spread throughout the world and brought various cultural influences. The term 1 week referred to 7 days in the hero calendar, though many parts were still under study. Christina wondered what she should do from there. After finishing the procedures in the capital, Christina had become an independent free merchant under the name Christina Fail. Christina was the elf language term for Christina, and Fail was the clan name of her mother's elven lineage. Thanks to the blue-silver coin her father gave her, she had lodgings secured for now, but she needed to earn money for living expenses and travel. She considered registering with the commercial guild in this town and rebuilding from scratch. She decided to explore the town before tomorrow's guild registration. Christina was impressed by how many shops there were. She found a weapon shop and went inside. The shopkeeper welcomed her and said they carried fine goods from the sandcastle cities of the desert in the east. Christina admired the items but thought that with only the commerce basic skill she had learned from training she could not even tell the value of the jewels. She wished she had a blessing related to commerce. She picked up a short sword and thought it was beautiful. Suddenly Christina heard something inside her head. A voice announced that awakening conditions had been met and that the following blessings were granted to Christina. Fail. Item box, universal appraisal eye, otherworld language and RICHEST secret art. Christina was confused and asked the shopkeeper if he had said something to her. The shopkeeper said no. Christina wondered if what she heard could be real. She activated the appraisal eye on the short sword. Information appeared telling her it was a short sword with beautiful decorations from the Flat Valley dungeon, a relic created as an ornamental piece valued at 25 gold coins. Christina was stunned. Instead of hearing the appraisal in her head, it reflected the information visually. She looked around the shop and saw appraisals for everything: a decorative bracelet worth 25 gold coins, a short sword worth 5 silver coins, a bracelet worth 12 silver coins, and a Flame Emperor's Guardian ring worth 250 gold coins. Christina asked the shopkeeper how much the ring was. He said it had a flame engraving but no magical effect and offered it for 5 silver coins. Christina immediately bought it. Christina was thrilled at the treasure she had found. She walked away wondering if she could use the other blessing too. She tried activating item box and the ring was stored, appearing as a listed item. Christina realized the power was real. She had obtained all the blessings a merchant needed to succeed, all at once. Item box, universal appraisal eye, otherworld language and RICHEST secret art. She did not know why she had suddenly received them, but she declared that her strength was being able to think simply and clearly and she would make full use of these blessings. Christina then remembered her mother handing her the grimoire and telling her that to read it she needed a certain blessing. She realized it could be the otherworld language and RICHEST secret art blessings. She recalled that her mother had spoken of a blessing needed to open the grimoire. She returned to her lodgings. Christina guessed that otherworld language was likely the ability to decipher the characters known as hero language. She did not know what RICHEST secret art would be useful for. She tried to open her mother's keepsake grimoire. She held it and wished for it to open. She heard the sound of a lock opening. The grimoire unlocked and opened. Inside the grimoire, Christina found pages filled with items, dresses, tea-time dish sets, extra full shortcake and more. She was amazed. She read the opening page, which welcomed her to Shirley of catalog mail order. The grimoire explained that it was a magic tool that allowed the user to order products from another world. Christina realized it was a book-shaped department store and called it a legendary class magic tool. Thanks to the otherworld language blessing, Christina could read the product descriptions easily, and with the universal appraisal eye, understanding the products was simple. The catalog contained food, daily goods, precious metals, jewels, and even seasonal limited items. Christina thought it was a dream magic tool where you could get anything. She spotted ice cream in the catalog described as cold and sweet confections and was amazed that such a thing existed. She decided she wanted to order it. Christina first tried to order but nothing happened. She calmed down and read the instructions carefully. First she needed to deposit money by placing coins on the cover and declaring charge. She did so and the money was absorbed. Next she needed to place an order by writing the item number on the order sheet. She wrote it down and declared order. Someone knocked on her door. Christina was startled and asked who it was. A masked man in a hat appeared and introduced himself as Persona, saying he had come from Shirley of catalog mail order. He explained that since this was Christina's first order, he had come to greet her, present a commemorative gift and receive her order sheet. Christina asked if the paper was the order sheet and handed it over. Persona confirmed it and said the product happened to be loaded on the carriage so he would bring it right away. Christina thought Persona had quite an aura about him. Persona returned with a box. Christina was shocked that it had really arrived and the box was cold. Persona asked whether she preferred payment by charge or cash. Christina chose charge and presented the grimoire. Persona confirmed the payment and gave Christina the commemorative gift along with the current season's limited catalog. He said he looked forward to serving her again and left. Christina thought it had all happened so suddenly, but Persona really was a merchant. She noticed the carriage was pure white and stood out. Then Persona and the carriage vanished. Christina wondered if it was not a dream. She went back inside to check the contents. Inside the box were cups of ice cream. She noted one cost 62 copper coins and wondered if that was expensive. She also wondered what chocolate flavor was. She noticed a clear, lightweight, mysterious spoon and decided to try eating with it. It looked like a limited item. Christina tasted the ice cream and was overwhelmed. She exclaimed that it melted softly in her mouth. She found it had a perfect balance of slight bitterness and sweetness and could not stop eating. She said it was happiness. She then realized that being able to order products from another world was too dangerous and too tempting. She decided to store the grimoire in her item box so she would not lose it. The grimoire was absorbed into the item box. Christina noticed the ring from earlier had also been sucked in and wondered what it was. Christina thought about how she had brought something incredible into this world. She realized that if she ordered and sold goods from another world, she could make enormous profit. She addressed her late mother and swore that she would use the grimoire and become the greatest merchant in the country. After completing the procedures to open a shop in the first commercial city she arrived at, Merca Valley, she stocked products through catalog mail order. Today was the day she would open. Christina announced that the fail shop was ready to begin opening preparations. She was excited that it was finally happening. Every product from the other world was attractive. She noted that if she said the supplier was another world, it would cause confusion, so she planned to pass the goods off as foreign items. Above all, she was proud of her featured product. The featured product was a timekeeping magic tool. It was a tool used by the hero to measure time, also used in churches and the royal castle. However, the method to produce them had been lost, and the ones that remained were rare. Christina was thrilled that she could get something so precious through catalog mail order, and she was sure customers would swarm to it. She decided she had enough products to line up and without delay open for business. She declared the fail shop was now open. Christina set up her stall with items on display and called out to passers-by, inviting them to come and take a look. Her shop was located on the outskirts of the market. A map showed that the central area was where most of the activity was, and Christina's spot was far from the entrance. She realized there were not any people around to begin with, and being on the outskirts was a disadvantage. Christina admitted that all the good spots in the central area were taken and there was no place for her. She told herself it was a waiting game until customers arrived. She kept calling out to people, asking them to please take a look. She realized that no one wanted to approach a stall run by someone they did not know and thought she needed a plan. A man walked up and noticed a stall all the way out here. He said he had looked through most shops in this town and did not recognize her face. The man asked if she was selling anything unusual. Christina welcomed him and said she specialized in foreign dresses and accessories, including bracelets adorned with jewels and delicately crafted rings. She then showed him the recommended product. The man looked at it and asked if it could possibly be what he thought it was. He said there was no way something like that would be at a stall. The man asked if he could appraise the item. Christina was nervous but agreed, saying she did not handle anything that would cause trouble if appraised. She thought to herself that skills in the product knowledge category should only let the person see the value of the item, not the place of production. The man asked how much the item was. Christina said 2 gold coins. The man was shocked and said that could not be right because it was a genuine timekeeping magic tool and was worth at least 20 gold coins. The man told Christina that if he got it for 2 gold coins, his fellow merchants would call him a swindler. Christina stammered and then quickly corrected herself, saying she had mixed it up with the item beside it and that she would accept 20 gold coins. The man happily bought it. Christina realized she had accidentally quoted double the purchase price, giving a cost ratio of 50%. But since the product's actual value was considered far higher, she was glad she noticed the mistake early. She decided to use Universal Appraisal Eye to revise all prices with the added value. A woman passed by her stall and paused. Christina used the appraisal eye and found that a jewel necklace was worth 5 gold coins and had a magic enhancement that increased charm. She wondered what magic enhancement meant. She realized that now that she was looking carefully, every item she had ordered already had some kind of magic effect on it. She told herself she could not sell them carelessly and needed to confirm all the effects. The process of appraising and repricing everything took a long time. She was finally done and decided to resume after eating lunch. She declared she had a new strategy for the afternoon. After lunch, Christina returned to her stall feeling full and recovered. She announced that from the afternoon onward she would start selling sweets. She had ordered cream puffs, eclairs, and shortcakes from the catalog. She noted there were sweets she had never seen before, and they all looked delicious. She reasoned that food items did not have special enhancements, so she could sell them as they were. However, people did not approach unfamiliar things easily. That was where her secret tactic came in. Christina called out to some children nearby and told them she would let them eat something really good. The kids asked what it was and mentioned they did not have money. Christina told them it was okay and offered them a free sample, just 1 bite. The children were interested. Christina was glad the tactic worked on kids too. She explained that the round one was a cream puff and the one with the brown stuff on top was called an eclair, and the brown coating was chocolate. The children said they were sweets they had never seen before and asked if they could really eat them. Christina told them to go ahead, just 1 bite each. The children ate and loved the food. The kids exclaimed that it was super sweet and delicious. They asked to try the others too and called more children over, saying they could eat 1 bite for free. Christina told them not to rush and that she had prepared plenty. The children then ran off to get their parents to come and buy. Christina thought the power of children was terrifying. Adults began arriving, asking what the kids had been eating so happily and requesting samples too. Christina happily offered samples, reminding herself that the basic rule of business was to take a loss to gain a profit. She told the children to go bring some adults. A large intimidating bald man then appeared and asked if he could have a bite too. The other townspeople recognized him as Gourmet George, a man strict about food whose evaluations could make or break a shop's sales. Christina nervously agreed to let him try. George ate a cream puff. He stared at it, then slowly chewed. He was deeply moved by the taste. He said it was melty sweetness wrapped in fragrant pastry and that he had never had anything this good. He ordered 4 cream puffs. Christina was shocked and delighted. The other townspeople noted they had never seen George make a face like that, so it must be truly delicious. Customers began flooding in. People asked for 5 eclairs, 10 cream puffs and more. Christina announced that purchases were limited to 5 items per person and that bulk buying was prohibited. She told customers not to push and to please line up. She also told them not to take samples home. Merchants asked her to reconsider and treat their orders as wholesale, and other customers begged her to do something about the stock issue. Christina held firm. She called out for those who had decided to come forward. The sweets sold out for the day. Christina announced that the Fail Shop sweets were sold out and that they would prepare more for tomorrow. Christina admitted she may have pushed a bit too hard. The sweets had sold out for the day. She had not expected such sales on her very first day, but she called it a great start and pledged to keep selling lots more from there on. Christina had been fired up, but she messed up. She had not expected everything to sell out in just 3 days after opening. She berated herself, thinking that a merchant having to close the shop because of no stock was a disgrace. She had already been waiting 2 days for restocking. The problem was that restocking took time, and she admitted she had mismanaged the pace. She wished same-day delivery could exist but thought that was impossible. Then she heard the sound of a carriage. Persona arrived with Shirley's carriage. He thanked Christina for her patronage and explained that since there were many packages, he had come by carriage. Christina excitedly said she had been waiting for him and offered to store them in the item box immediately. Christina then asked Persona about whether people who watched the delivery might try to approach him directly for dealings. Persona said that was impossible because only the grimoire's contractor could trade with Shirley of catalog mail order, and that only special individuals like Christina could do so. Christina thought Persona wore a suspicious mask, but even just his voice was cool, which she found frustrating. Persona told Christina she had placed many orders and that business seemed to be going well. Christina confirmed it but said it was not just the townspeople. Merchants from afar had also come. They had tried to buy out everything, which was terrible. She called them wicked merchants like the 10 buyers from the hero's sayings. They had probably been planning to resell at high prices. Christina added that as a stall vendor on the outskirts, other merchants looked down on her. They had pressed her to reveal her supplier and how to make the sweets, and when she refused, they complained. Christina told Persona she intended to wrap things up in Merca Valley and leave for the next town tomorrow. Persona said he would be waiting for her next order in the next town as well. Before making the payment, Persona gave Christina an additional catalog that could be used starting the day after tomorrow. He also told her she was close to leveling up and to keep up the good work. Christina asked what leveling up meant. Persona explained that catalog mail order Shirley had a membership level system and that when her total purchase amount reached a certain threshold, her level would increase and she would receive exclusive perks and benefits. In Christina's case, at the next level she would be able to use the same-day shipping command. There would be an additional delivery fee, but orders made that day would arrive by noon. Christina was amazed that something like that existed. Persona added that the benefits at each level were a secret. Christina was flustered by his manner. Persona said he looked forward to Christina's next order. Christina bid farewell to the townspeople and the children who thanked her for the great goods and told her to make sure she came again. Christina thought that even if the stay was short, farewells were lonely. She began packing up to leave. A carriage bearing a crest arrived at her lodgings. Christina recognized it as the crest of the Lord of Chatteray's territory. A woman stepped out and introduced herself as Rosemary, the first butler of the Chatteray's family. She greeted Christina and asked if she could have some of her time. Rosemary told Christina that her master Smith Chatteray's wished to meet with her. Christina could not very well refuse a request from the Count himself. The Chatteray's family were nobles who controlled the Royal Capital Military Affairs Bureau. Christina recalled she had seen him a few times before at parties she attended with her father. He was also a valued customer of the Arrest Trading Company, though it seemed he did not remember her. Smith introduced himself and Christina greeted him as Christina Fail. Christina asked what the meeting was regarding. Smith apologized for summoning her so abruptly and said he had a request for her store. He got straight to the point and explained that he had a daughter who would soon turn 16, which was the age for a social debut. Christina guessed it was for a debutante party, and Smith confirmed it. He had specially ordered a dress from a merchant in a neighboring country, but before it arrived, the caravan was attacked by bandits and the dress was stolen. He asked Christina if she could make a new dress, but the debutante ball was in only 4 days, so there was simply no way a new order would arrive in time. He then mentioned that he had overheard his maids who had stopped by the Fail store talking. They said Christina handled unseen beautiful garments and jewelry. He asked if she might be able to prepare a dress for his daughter. Christina understood the situation and asked him to wait a moment. She apologized and said she was unfortunately currently out of stock. Smith's daughter Margaret then entered the room. Smith scolded her for interrupting an important discussion. Margaret said she was worried about whether her dress would be ready in time. Smith told her not to worry and that he would handle it somehow. Smith then introduced his daughter to Christina and apologized, saying he had pinned his last hopes on her, but if she had no stock there was nothing to be done. Christina apologized for being unable to help. Christina thought about how anxious Margaret looked. She knew that if the debutante failed, it would reflect poorly on the Count's household. She did not want anyone else to have to go through that kind of experience, remembering how Lady Rose had interfered with her own life and how terrible it was. The situation bothered Christina so much she could hardly sleep that night. Christina had read Shirley's grimoire from cover to cover the night before, searching for any method to help. She found one part that caught her attention, a support center page that said to contact them with any opinions or requests. It seemed to be a window for hearing customer feedback. She wondered if she could actually talk to someone through the symbol below it. She thought that in the hero's era there was something called mental transmission, but it was a lost ancient art, so it probably was not something she could contact so easily. The grimoire suddenly shook. Christina was startled. There was a knock at her door. Persona appeared and greeted Christina, saying he had come as instructed by the support center. Christina was shocked and apologized for coming so early in the morning, then invited him inside. She explained the situation and said she needed merchandise as soon as possible. She asked about the same-day shipping command, which was available from member level 2, and wondered if there was anything that could be done. Persona said that while he would like to accommodate her request, rules were unfortunately rules. At Christina's current member level, she could not use the same-day shipping command. Christina begged him, saying she could not just stand by and do nothing. Persona then said it was not that there was no method. To reach member level 2, Christina needed to purchase goods worth an additional 24 gold coins. If she did that, the same-day shipping command would become available, and orders placed before noon would be delivered by evening. Persona added that since he had come in a hurry, he still had goods from a recently cancelled order loaded on the carriage. Christina was thrilled to hear that if she purchased those goods right now, her member level would increase. She exclaimed that it was a wonderful hidden trick and grabbed Persona's hands in excitement. She quickly apologized for getting too carried away. Persona said it was all right. The goods he had on hand were celadon plates made by a famous workshop, animal grooming tools, and special feed used by tamers. Christina agreed to take them all. She paid, and the grimoire's number changed from I to Tai. Her member level had increased. Christina was relieved that now she could prepare the dress. She reported to the Count's house that she could procure a dress. She then took Margaret's measurements and selected a dress suitable for the debutante, ordering it using the same-day shipping command. Evening arrived and there was a knock at her door. Christina hurried to open it for Persona, but it was someone different. A woman with long dark hair, pointed ears, and a witch-like hat introduced herself as being from Shirley's sacred mail-order service, saying she had come to deliver the order. Christina had been waiting eagerly but was surprised it was not Persona. The woman said she handled same-day shipping deliveries and looked forward to working with Christina. Christina noted that this woman's department was different from Persona's. The woman said that to think it really arrived the same day was like magic. She then proceeded with confirming the receipt. Christina praised Persona for coming up with a clever plan and said she was constantly in his debt. The delivery woman pointed out that Christina had been talking about nothing but Persona since she arrived. Christina was flustered and denied it, saying it was just because she was surprised. The delivery woman offered to pass along a request if Christina preferred Persona to handle same-day shipping duties as well. Christina insisted that was not the case and told her not to misunderstand. The delivery woman remarked that Christina seemed to be quite an amusing lady. Payment was confirmed and delivery was complete. Christina told the delivery woman they should focus on doing the final touches and preparing for tomorrow. The next day, Christina went to the Chateaurizet mansion. Smith asked if she had really been able to prepare the dress, saying he thought it was surely impossible in such short a time. Christina declared that the Fail store fulfills its requests and invited them to look. She revealed a room full of dresses hung on racks, along with shelves of shoes and accessories. Smith and Margaret were stunned at the sheer quantity. Christina told them price tags were attached and that they should take their time selecting. Margaret froze for a moment, then squealed with joy. She begged her father to buy them all. Smith panicked and said he would go bankrupt, telling her to limit it to 2 dresses and the matching accessories. Margaret pleaded for at least 3 with teary upturned eyes. Smith gave in and agreed to 3 dresses only. Margaret hugged her father and told him she loved him. Christina thought Margaret's pleading technique was terrifying for the future. Smith thanked Christina, saying that ever since the specially ordered dress was stolen, his daughter had been terribly depressed. He had tried everything but nothing worked, and he had keenly felt his inadequacy as a father. He admitted he might be a doting fool but thanked Christina for bringing back his daughter's smile. He said that for a father, his daughter's happiness was the most important thing. Christina told him it was no trouble at all and excused herself. As she was leaving, Smith asked if she might introduce this merchant to someone else as well. Smith then introduced his wife Sylvia Chateaurizet. Sylvia thanked Christina and expressed gratitude regarding the matter. Sylvia then asked if there was a dress in her size as well. She said they were so lovely that she would like to get a new one for herself. Smith protested that today was for Margaret and told Sylvia she was being unreasonable. Sylvia asked Christina directly. Christina revealed that she had also prepared dresses in other sizes. Smith was shocked and asked why she had prepared one for his wife too. Christina explained that foreseeing needs was standard practice for a merchant, and that when women see a beautiful dress they want one for themselves too. She cited Lady Rose, who had seen her all dressed up, as a prime example. Sylvia immediately began selecting dresses, picking one after another. Smith begged her to exercise some moderation. Christina then revealed she also had preparations for the Count himself, including menswear on a separate rack. Smith was speechless. Christina offered a discount for multiple purchases and told him to rest assured. She also suggested having tea time and cake while the ladies enjoyed their shopping. Smith admitted defeat and told Christina he took his hat off to her business acumen. He said he would gratefully accept. Smith remarked that the plate was beautiful and asked what craftsman made it. Christina told him it was called Celadon and complimented his eye. They enjoyed tea together while Margaret and Sylvia happily shopped in the background. Smith noted that it seemed this would be an expensive shopping trip, but if he thought of it as buying his daughter and wife smiles, it was nothing. Sylvia agreed, holding a dress she had selected, looking content beside her happy daughter. At the Châteaurizet family dining table, the Count commented that just as the rumors said, Failstore's products were of fine quality and thanked Christina for sharing the meal with them. The Count mentioned that not only did he end up getting new clothes for his daughter and wife, but for himself too, as he planned to wear something new to his daughter's debutante. He told Christina to consider it, thanks for the day, and to please relax and stay a while. The Countess then asked Christina if she had any other accessories besides the ones prepared for their daughter, since she wanted something to match her new dress. The Count pointed out that his wife already had tons of accessories. The Countess argued that they were old designs and would not match the new dress, and thought that Christina might have something. Christina apologized and said she was afraid preparing for that would be difficult. The Count told his wife not to make unreasonable requests and that she was putting Christina in a difficult position. The Countess, seemingly drunk, asked her husband if he would not prepare something wonderful that everyone would envy. Christina and the Count looked caught off guard. Christina then exclaimed that she did have something. She announced it was the secret star product, the final hidden gem. She explained that she had been waiting for this moment. The Count and Countess reacted with surprise. The hidden gem was a black pearl necklace. Christina explained that during the dress selection she had deliberately held it back, thinking the Count would refuse due to the mounting expenses. Now after dinner, when guards were down, was the chance. The Countess was amazed by its elegant jet black shine and said she had never seen anything like it. She ordered Rosemary to call the appraiser at once. Christina noted that she had also seen the necklace for the first time when procuring stock, and that it was a seasonal limited item, making it extremely precious. The appraiser confirmed the pearls were all genuine and that the finding was astonishing. He added that the price was considerably cheaper than the appraised value. The black pearls seemed to originate from a foreign country called Tahiti and were worth 20 blue gold coins. The Count stammered at the price of 20 coins, calling it a country he had never heard of. The Countess declared they had no choice but to buy it at that bargain price and that it would undoubtedly add splendor to the debutante. The Count protested that it was impossible since they had already far exceeded the budget and that there was surely no need to show off that much. The Countess called him darling sweetly. The Count flinched. The Countess argued that if not for their daughter's grand occasion, when else should they show off? Their daughter Margaret agreed that it suited her mother so well. Christina giggled. The Count gave in and told them to do as they pleased. The Countess then suggested that an item of equal value from their family treasures in exchange would be fine. The Count's family showed Christina to their collection room and told her to choose whichever she liked. Christina thought that items treasured by the Count's family seemed more valuable than simply receiving payment. Christina noticed an ebony dragon and a crystal unicorn statue that appeared to be a set of two. The display label read "Appraisal Impossible" with question marks. Christina noted that just this item was labeled Appraisal Impossible, meaning it must have value beyond expectations. She said she felt a warmth from them, as if they would protect her, and decided to take them as a travel charm. The delivery concluded successfully, and 3 days after receiving the precious statues, the day of the debutante party arrived. The venue was a grand hall filled with guests. Margaret Châteaurizet introduced herself, thanked everyone for gathering, and asked them to please relax and enjoy themselves. The crowd applauded. Christina watched from behind a curtain, stunned by how beautiful Margaret looked. She had come to the venue at the Count's invitation but decided to watch from the back to avoid running into acquaintances, since it would be troublesome. She recalled that her own debutante had been a disaster, so seeing Margaret's success felt like her hardships had been rewarded. The Count and Countess both looked wonderful as they greeted guests, and the Count thanked everyone for coming for their daughter. The Countess wore the black pearl necklace, drawing attention from other nobles who praised her dress and asked about the rare necklace. The Countess coyly said she had purchased it from a wonderful merchant but kept the method of acquisition a secret. Young lords began approaching Margaret. Walder, the eldest son of the Santor baronet family, introduced himself. Frederick, the second son of Viscount Carlban, also asked her to dance. Christina observed with amusement that the exhibition of young lords trying to scheme their way into the Count's family's favor had begun. Xeres, the second son of the Condensa Count family, compared Margaret to a flower fairy and asked her to dance. Margaret politely apologized and said she looked forward to dancing with the one who would be her own partner, and therefore could not accept any of their offers. Xeres said it was unfortunate and excused himself smoothly. Christina noted that it was proper manners to withdraw smoothly if refused, and found him refined as expected. Then Oster, the second son of the heiress Marquis family, appeared and asked Margaret for a dance. Someone in the crowd muttered about their foolish elder brother being present. Margaret apologized and said she could not accept his offer either. Oster was shocked and asked if she was refusing him. Someone from the Marquis family. His brother recoiled at Oster's behavior, noting that even as his brother it made him cringe. The Count stepped in, stating that the debutante was his family's daughter's event and that actions that insult or belittle her were forbidden. Using noble rank as a shield to break that unspoken rule was not acceptable. Margaret firmly stated that Lord Oster simply would not do. When Oster demanded she explain properly, Margaret said that Lord Oster was just not her type at all. Oster was left speechless. Margaret apologized and excused herself, explaining that her ideal type was a well-built man with a beard like her father. Christina stifled a laugh at Margaret's bluntness. Oster walked away humiliated, muttering that Lady Margaret was merciless. Christina decided to change the atmosphere by bringing the Count some special ice cream she had saved, believing that sweet things make everyone smile. Oster's brother scolded him, calling him an idiot and saying that trying to ruin the Count's daughter's debutante was utterly inexcusable and that the one ruined was Oster's own face. He told Oster not to do anything unnecessary beyond this and that he would go apologize to the Count himself. He ordered Oster to go home ahead of him since he had other people to meet. Oster's brother called his attitude disgraceful. Oster wondered why he of a Marquis family should have to fawn over commoners and said he could not understand it. He declared that the Chauderise Count must be crushed and that if Margaret understood house ranks, those words and actions would have been impossible. The debutante ended successfully. The Count apologized to Christina for making her wait and thanked her, saying that the atmosphere had become amiable thanks to her. He mentioned this was payment for the ice cream purchase. Christina thanked him in return for his patronage until the very end. She told him she would depart the city that night since she had seen the debutante's success and had no regrets left. The Count asked her to wait a moment, explaining that when he had spoken of her, a certain person had become interested and would very much like to greet this promising merchant. He asked if that would be all right since it was about 10 minutes before her scheduled carriage departure. Christina agreed. Christina wondered who it could be. The Count said he would go call them. Christina thought about the Count's words that a certain person had become interested and that he would go call them. She reasoned that judging from those words, the speaker must be a noble of higher rank than the Count's family. Among the day's guests, higher than a Count would be a Marquis. The Count then introduced the person as RICHEST, the Marquis of the RICHEST family, the merchant patronized by the hero in the royal capital. Christina recognized him and thought to herself that it was her father, as she had expected. The Count said he would take his leave now and told the two merchants to take their time since they surely had much to discuss. Christina felt awkward. She noted that she was now Christina Fail, and recalled that her disownment from the Marquis' house had been with her father's agreement as well. She wondered what business he could possibly have with her now and whether he had come to deliver parting words. Bruiser remarked that so that was the name she went by now. He told her it was good to see her well and that he had been worried about her, calling her Christina. Christina confirmed that she was using her mother's clan name and said it was a relief to see her father was also well. Bruiser apologized for not being able to stop the disownment. He explained that he had never thought they would proceed with it while he was away on business, and that by the time he returned the notification to the House of Peers had already been processed. He told her the truth that he had been receiving pressure from Rose and her father to disown Christina ever since the hero's summoning was decided, and that their arrogance had been growing. He said he did not think he was agreeing, but it seemed they had interpreted it that way before he knew it. He bowed deeply, saying he should have been more attentive considering her position and that he was truly sorry. Christina asked him to raise his head. She told him that just hearing that explanation was enough for her and that as she had thought he was still the kind father she knew. She added that besides her current life was not all bad and that leaving that stifling house and traveling was very free and enjoyable. Christina showed Bruiser the ring he had given her and said she still treasured it. Bruiser was relieved to see it and mentioned it was a family heirloom he had left for her. He then asked if she had received the deed to the villa in Owen territory. Christina said it had been just the ring and some blue-silver coins. Bruiser was shocked and asked if Rose had interfered during the process, and then asked where Christina was living now. Christina answered that she stayed at town inns, of course. Bruiser was alarmed and asked if there was a draft, if her health was all right, and if she could even sleep properly in a bed from such a place. Christina giggled and told him he worried too much. She reminded him that she had been disowned. Bruiser said it was natural for a father to worry about his daughter. Bruiser said he would take his leave soon, but as a token of thanks for the day, he asked her to accept some gifts. He gave her a pocket watch and some medicinal liquor that was gentle on the body. Christina asked when he had learned to use an item box. Bruiser said that was a secret. The pocket watch turned out to be a magic tool that marks time, once possessed by a past hero, and the liquor was something Bruiser had never seen before. He asked where she had procured such rare items. Christina explained that through a connection she had become acquainted with a merchant from a foreign land, and that through that connection she had been able to arrange everything for the debutante party as well. Bruiser accepted the gifts gratefully. Bruiser asked Christina how he could contact her if he wanted to place an order in the future. He said that since he could not do anything for her, he wanted to do something that benefited her as a small atonement. Christina told him not to say he could not do anything, and that the reason she was who she was now was thanks to the opportunity to learn business from him. She said his feeling alone was more than enough. She explained that as an individual merchant caravan, she traveled and traded in various places. She could not promise anything, but if they happened to meet again somewhere, they could talk then. Bruiser patted her head. Bruiser told Christina that he always prayed for her safety and to not forget that. Christina was moved. She then took her leave, addressing him formally as Marquis RICHEST and wishing him well. The Count met her outside and asked if her business discussion was finished. He admitted that he had thought he recognized her from the first time they met, but seeing her next to the Marquis, he remembered. He told her he had prepared a special permit as thanks for the debutante party. With it, she would be treated as a noble equivalent within the town. He told her to rest assured that he was her ally. Christina thanked him. Christina said that thanks to this wonderful connection, she could depart without any regrets. She set off into the night, heading for the next town. Several days later, she arrived at the capital of the kingdom of Hervarius. There, the summoned heroes were studying in a room. One of them was struggling to read a spell from a book. Ruka Yuzuki, a high school girl with the Archmage class, cried out that she could not do it anymore and needed something sweet to eat. Tatsuya Ogata, an ex-Yakuza errand boy with the hero class, told her not to shout so loud because she had made him forget the spell he had memorized. Ruka shouted that she wanted cake, cream puffs, and chocolate religieuse parfait. Shogo Kinokuniya, a salaryman with the Saint class, said everyone seemed irritable, and that given their lifestyle it was no wonder. He felt like screaming too. Kunihiko Takeda, a game otaku with the Great Sage class, wanted to play games. It had been half a month since they were summoned as heroes to save the world. Ruka recalled that at first being pampered by important people had seemed fun, but studying every day was pushing her to her limit. They had been told they could return to their original world if they crushed the demon clan, but it felt like they would break before that happened. Tatsuya complained that the meals were always just bread and simple side dishes and that he missed Japanese food. He said they should at least be given proper food since meals were directly linked to motivation. Shogo therefore took action. He remembered the merchant patronized by the hero whom the king had introduced them to the other day. He thought that if they asked him, he could prepare the items they desired, so he had the merchant summoned. Ruka praised Shogo excitedly. Tatsuya asked if they could really trust that shady chubby merchant. Ruka said at this point she would take anyone she could rely on. A servant announced that the merchant had arrived and would guide them to the reception room. The merchant introduced himself as Ostol of the RICHEST Trading Company, Southern Branch. He told the heroes to feel free to state the items they desired. The heroes immediately listed their requests. Tatsuya wanted food from their world, specifically white rice, miso soup, and umeboshi. Ruka wanted cake and chocolate. Another wanted ice cream. Kunihiko wanted pizza and cola. He also said his game's battery was about to die and he needed spare batteries. Shogo asked for a smartphone charger, a replacement suit, and 10 pairs of 100% cotton underwear. Ostol said he understood and that he would deliver everything within 3 days. The heroes were shocked and excited. Ruka called it super efficient and said it was like a light in their gray otherworldly life. Shogo was surprised that Ostol could actually prepare those items and told him they were counting on him, reminding him the underwear had to be 100% cotton. Ostol returned to the RICHEST Trading Company and ordered Vice Branch Manager Martini to make sure everything was prepared for delivery in 3 days, saying there should be stock in the warehouse. Martini was thrilled at receiving such a large order and could imagine Grandry from the main store fuming with jealousy. Ostol thought to himself that Christina had been the one who managed the Southern Branch's inventory, and that she had been quite capable in practical work, a useful piece. But now that she had been driven out, the credit was his. He planned to get in the hero's good graces and solidify his position as the legitimate heir of the RICHEST family, declaring that Grandry, who acted high and mighty just because he was the eldest son, was finished. Ostol reported to his father Bruiser that they had been able to receive the order and that the heroes were very pleased. Bruiser said it was well done and called it a credit to Ostol for once. He noted that Ostol was quite well prepared to have gathered the items the heroes would likely want in advance, and said he had reassessed him. Ostol laughed and said he could not afford to lag behind his elder brother forever. Bruiser then asked if Ostol had properly confirmed the inventory. Ostol said the stock was because Christina had prepared it and that it should be sufficient, adding that he left the petty miscellaneous tasks entirely to the Vice Branch Manager, and that his job as the face of the Southern Branch was to receive the orders. Bruiser's expression darkened. He asked what kind of merchant neglects to confirm their inventory, calling Ostol a fool. He pointed out that at the time Christina's disownment was decided, the hero's summoning had not even been performed yet. Christina had been making various arrangements based on past order histories, but they would not have known what the summoned heroes would actually desire until it happened. There was no guarantee the desired products were all in stock. He ordered Ostol to check the inventory immediately. Ostol realized the problem and knew what would happen if he had made a promise he could not keep. He ran off screaming that he would check right away. Bruiser's wife remarked that Ostol seemed to have no wit except for the malicious kind. Grandry, the eldest son, arrived and asked if his father needed assistance. Bruiser told him not now, and that he wanted to avoid tarnishing the name of the RICHEST trading company. He told Grandry to let Ostol fulfill his responsibilities. Grandry said he must ascertain Ostol's talent as a merchant. Ostol was panicking over the hero's order, telling himself it must be somewhere in the inventory. He ordered everyone to search every corner more thoroughly and to get all hands on it. He ran into Vice Branch Manager Martini and asked if the products on the order sheet could be prepared. Martini reported that they had searched the entire warehouse, but there was not a single item in stock. The warehouse managers also had no idea. Ostol was stunned. Martini pointed out that not a single one was in stock. He then asked Ostol if he had accepted the order, believing the items were somewhere in the warehouse. Ostol yelled at Martini, asking how he could not know the inventory status when he was the Vice Branch Manager. Ostol shouted that it was unacceptable for there to be no stock since this was the merchant company serving the heroes. He cursed Christina, wishing she had done the procurement before disappearing. He worried that at this rate his father would abandon him and he would remain looked down upon by Grandry. Then he got an idea. He called Vice Branch Manager Martini to lend him a hand and told him to do exactly as he said. Ostol thought about having Martini take the blame for him. He reasoned that Martini was just a woman with mixed elf blood, and that it was not like her status could fall any further. Ostol then went to report to his father at a family meal. He told Bruiser that a terrible thing had come to light, that while the goods had all been delivered, Christina had embezzled them. He claimed that the fact the items were not entered in the procurement ledger was likely Christina's scheme, and that only the delivery slips were found in a corner of the warehouse. He said Christina had borne a grudge for being disowned and run off with the goods, calling her unfit to be a merchant. He added that they should pursue responsibility, but since she was not in the capital, there was nothing they could do. Bruiser's wife exclaimed that it was a disaster. Ostol thought to himself that his fake delivery slips prepared by Martini should fool them. Bruiser said he understood the situation. He then told Ostol to proceed with reordering immediately based on those delivery slips. Ostol was caught off guard. Bruiser explained that he could tell the heroes the delivery was delayed due to being out of stock. Grandry then spoke up, pointing out that it was not over just because the person in charge, Christina, was gone. He asked if it had not occurred to Ostol that having delivery slips meant additional orders should naturally be possible. He also noted that the delivery slips would need the supplier's signature and Christina's delivery confirmation seal, and that documents without those were invalid. Ostol looked stricken. Bruiser said he would handle Christina's matter personally, and told Ostol he must fulfill his duties properly. Ostol nervously agreed. Bruiser went to the royal castle to meet the king. Since it was just the two of them, the king told him there was no need for formality and asked what business brought him. Bruiser explained that the matter concerned the blunder of his foolish son, the Southern Branch Manager. He said that due to an error, urgent delivery of the items ordered by the heroes had become impossible. He had come as the chairman of the RICHEST trading company to apologize and request that the heroes be informed the delivery would be delayed. The king noted that it was troubling, since the heroes had been overjoyed about their order. He worried that if they found out the delivery date was pushed back, they might start causing a ruckus. He said it would be difficult to convey the news empty-handed and that it would help if they had some rare gift to distract them. Bruiser mentioned that speaking of rare items, he had recently obtained something. He pulled out the medicinal liquor, explaining it was from a foreign land and that since he had started drinking one small cup every night, his health had improved remarkably. The king was impressed and called it rare. He told Bruiser he had saved the situation and decided they should call the heroes immediately to explain, with Bruiser handling the product explanation. The heroes were summoned to the throne room. They excitedly asked if the items they ordered had arrived. The king apologized and told them the delivery would be delayed due to an error. The heroes were shocked and upset. Ruka asked when her chocolate was coming. Kunihiko demanded pizza and cola. Tatsuya called them unreliable after all. The king told them to calm down and said he had prepared a gift as an apology. Bruiser introduced himself and presented the medicinal liquor from a foreign land as their apology. Tatsuya recognized it as Yakiyo Imeshu and said his gang leader used to drink it often. Ruka said she had seen it before too. Kunihiko said it did not look sweet and was alcohol, so he did not want it, but maybe just the color could let him feel the cola mood. He excused himself. Shogo picked up the bottle and noticed the manufacturing date was recent. He was impressed that the trading company could actually procure goods from their world. The king asked what that meant. Shogo explained that the label was written in the hero's language. The king realized that the analytical documents for that language had been lost long ago and that no one existed who could read it. In other words, it was not a counterfeit but the real thing. The king questioned how it was possible for real otherworldly goods to flow into this world. He asked Bruiser who had brought the medicinal liquor and demanded an answer. Bruiser requested discretion regarding the matter. He explained that he had received the liquor from his disowned daughter Christina Fiel. She had given it to him when they met again at the debutante party for the Shitoraze Count's daughter. She had said she purchased it from a foreign merchant while traveling as an individual merchant caravan, but he had no further information. The king said he would not inquire deeply about the disownment. More importantly, he stated that they needed goods from the otherworld to appease the demanding heroes and overcome the national crisis. He commanded Bruiser to make contact with Christina Fiel and identify the foreign merchant who was selling the otherworldly goods. Bruiser accepted the command. He wondered to himself who this foreign merchant was and reflected that if they had a connection to the other world, it was an incredible matter. There were mountains of things he wanted to ask. He wondered where Christina was now. Christina had arrived at a post town reached after about a week's journey by carriage from Mercaberry. She was conducting her shop inspection there. A delivery man in a top hat thanked her for ordering so much and confirmed the inspection was complete. Christina thanked him for delivering to such a faraway place. He told her it was no problem at all, and that Shirley's catalog orders would deliver even to the ends of the earth. He then presented her with a commemorative gift and a new limited-time catalog since her transaction amount had exceeded a certain limit. Christina was delighted and looked forward to future business. The delivery man then asked if she had acquired any antiques in the previous town. Christina confirmed that she had the dragon and unicorn statues she received from Count Shatorazy in exchange for the black pearl necklace. The delivery man said he knew it and told her to please treasure them for they would become her strength in time. He asked if she would be staying for a while. Christina said she would head for a port town called Sarai in 2 days on the next scheduled carriage. She had heard that Sarai had a very delicious seafood bowl called the Hero Bowl and she absolutely wanted to eat it. She said food was one of the joys of travel. The delivery man wished her a good journey to the next town and looked forward to her next order. Christina added that there was also an elf village near Sarai where her mother's grave was, and she was thinking of visiting it for the first time in 3 years. Christina began moving by scheduled carriage. After leisurely running her shop for 2 days, she set off. 3 days later, the scent in the air changed. She smelled the seashore. The sparkling sea came into view, and she arrived at the port town Sarai. Christina wondered what kind of encounters awaited her there, and could not contain her excitement. At the Châtelet's Count's estate in Mercaberry, Bruiser explained to the Count that when they gifted the medicinal liquor received from Miss Vale to the hero, it turned out to be a product from another world. He said they must track down the foreign merchant from whom Christina procured it and ensure they obtained the goods the heroes desired without fail. The Count confirmed that they had checked all records during the period when Miss Vale was staying in Mercaberry. The conclusion was that there was no record of any merchant who seemed to be her supplier. Bruiser said that was impossible since it was not possible to enter the country without passing the ID check at inspection. He asked if there was a possibility that Christina herself had obtained a skill to procure goods from another world. Rosemarie had a report. The vendors and people of the commercial guild said that a strangely dressed merchant had visited Miss Vale's lodging and stall. They said that before they realized it, the merchant and his carriage had vanished entirely. The Count noted the merchant was truly there one moment and gone the next and asked if anyone had spoken with him. He concluded that judging from that merchant, Christina likely did have a connection to otherworldly goods. He said tracking down Christina's movements would be more reliable than searching for the merchant. She seemed to have left through the south gate, so she must be headed either to the port town Sarai or westward to the forest city Phantasm along the way. If it was Sarai, she should have arrived by now. Bruiser decided they would head to Sarai first. Bruiser suddenly felt dizzy and stumbled. The Count asked if he was all right. Bruiser apologized and said he had been having bouts of dizziness lately and may have been a bit fatigued. The Count asked if there was any way to request assistance from Lord Austell. Bruiser told him that shamefully his foolish son was currently under house arrest. He explained that forged documents created in collusion with Austell and the deputy manager of the southern branch had been found. Austell had been severely punished and placed under house arrest and was told to consider it merciful that he was not disowned. The Count remarked that Foolish did not even begin to cover it. Austell in his room cursed and raged. He blamed everyone for always dragging him down, said it was all Christine's fault for not doing her job properly and cursed that he would never forgive her. Bruiser said he would take responsibility for handling this matter and that until then he must stay focused. He thanked the Count for the valuable information and took his leave. The Count prayed for his success. Christina arrived at the port town Sarai after her long journey. She completed the procedures at the commercial guild and planned to open fail shop leisurely. However, it was already a huge success. She had to implement quantity limits of 5 items per person and ask customers to line up in order. Customers were excited about her products. One wanted her high-quality teaware, another wanted 3 dresses and 2 accessories, and another had heard she was selling a timekeeping magic tool. Christina noted that as expected of this region, there seemed to be many foreign merchants with sharp eyes for rare items. The first day ended in a whirlwind, and she sold out. Christina returned to the inn for dinner. She already knew what she wanted to eat, the famous specialty of the town, the Hero Bowl. But the innkeeper apologized and said they were not serving it right now. Christina was shocked that the Hero Bowl did not exist. The innkeeper explained that they could not get the 3 necessary ingredients anymore. Christina said she had been really looking forward to it. The innkeeper explained that the 3 ingredients were rice vinegar used to season cooked rice and soy sauce used on sashimi. Christina recognized them all. The innkeeper explained that the village northeast of the town had once passed down the methods of making rice vinegar and soy sauce taught by the hero. But one day, monsters overflowed from the forest dungeon. By the time the National Army arrived, the village had been wiped out and the fields burned to ashes. People outside the village tried to imitate the vinegar and soy sauce but failed, and the reserves ran out. With the seed rice gone too, they eventually could not make it anymore. Christina said it was too sad, and that the monsters were absolutely unforgivable. Quoting a hero saying, "The innkeeper told her there were plenty of other seafood dishes, so she should try those." Back in her room, Christina sighed. The other dishes were delicious, but she could not give up on the hero bowl. She had dreamed of the specialty ever since first hearing about it. Freshly cooked rice, fragrant vinegar, rich soy sauce on seafood. She realized that if they had the 3 ingredients, the hero bowl could be revived. She recalled that in the standard product pages or the seasonal catalog of Shirley's grimoire, those items might be listed. She checked and found rice, vinegar, soy sauce, and dashi soy sauce all available. She praised Shirley's grimoire for having them. She planned to give the ingredients to the innkeeper and have her make it. She would transfer them into jars bought at a stall so they would not look like products from another world. Using the same-day shipping command, they would arrive by tomorrow evening. She decided that just this once she would give in to her desires. The next morning, Christina checked her product inventory before opening. She used her item box, noting she had recently learned about an extra function called partition. Just by thinking, items inside the item box were sorted by category, making it like a tiny warehouse. The catalog was divided, making day-to-day stock management easy and incredibly useful. A girl approached and called out to the shop owner of Fail Shop. Christina looked up. The girl introduced herself as Claire Eisenborg and declared she would buy everything in the shop. Christina sighed and told her she did not know which noble lady she was, but they were not even open yet. She also told her that the store limited purchases to 5 items per person and that bulk buying was not allowed. Claire's attendants threatened Christina, telling her not to underestimate their lady and that she would regret it. They explained that back in their homeland, the Camembert Kingdom, Claire had abused the power of the Eisenborg Count family and became infamous as a wicked villainess who bullied classmates she did not like at the academy. Her reputation was so terrible that her engagement to the Marquess's eldest son was annulled and she was expelled from her family. Even after losing everything, she remained arrogant and clueless. Claire started crying and said they were saying too much. Her attendants yelled that Christina had made the lady cry. Christina calmly said rules were rules. Claire screamed that she did not care and to just hand over the goods. Her attendants asked Christina to listen to their side too. They explained that Claire had been told she could return home if she repaid the compensation herself, but she got yelled at even doing janitor work at a liquor store. Her dress was secondhand and poorly patched by herself. She was sick of the rough old clothes, bad meals, and hard beds. She just wanted to earn money and go home. Christina understood her situation but asked what that had to do with bulk buying. The attendants explained that yesterday, while doing part-time work, Claire had overheard a customer say he got rare foreign goods cheaply. When she saw what he showed off, she was shocked. They were high-class goods you could hardly see even in the capital. Claire said she had handled the real thing and knew the true value, so she planned to buy out what the ignorant merchants sold cheaply and sell them for many times the price to make a fortune. She told Christina she should thank her for helping sell her products at their true value. Christina told Claire that what she was planning was resale, a forbidden and malicious act. She asked if Claire had even registered with the commercial guild, since doing merchant work without registration was illegal. Claire realized she was not registered and that her plan was forbidden. She broke down crying and asked what she was supposed to do then. Christina told her that first she must register with the commercial guild, as that was the starting point. She explained that buying out goods unfairly and selling them at high prices violated guild rules, but adding reasonable transport costs or management fees to the purchase price was perfectly acceptable. Claire said she could make profit that way. Claire immediately went and completed the merchant registration procedures, returning with her temporary registration paper. Christina remarked that she was honest. Claire asked if Christina would sell to her now that she was a fellow merchant. She demanded to be shown something truly worthy of her discerning eye. Christina said that since she would be a fellow merchant, she could not refuse entirely. She showed Claire the shop's flagship product, a timekeeping magic tool once owned by the hero. There were various shapes and functions available. Claire was stunned, saying she had heard of them but never seen one, and that even nobles in her homeland rarely possessed one. She called it the real thing worth spending her entire fortune on and tried to take 10. Christina firmly told her 5 items per person. Claire argued that if Christina treated a noble like her kindly, it would return manyfold, and that a merchant should prioritize profit. Christina said most of Claire's hardship was self-inflicted, and that a merchant must obey rules precisely because they are a merchant. She told Claire that since she learned earnestly, she would stretch the limit to 6. Claire pushed for 9. Christina said 7 was the absolute limit and any more would cancel the transaction entirely. Claire countered with 8.5 items and offered to advertise that she bought from Christina. Christina noted Claire was naturally developing negotiation skills. Considering Claire's potential, she agreed to 8 items. Claire celebrated her successful negotiation. Claire thanked Christina for teaching her so much. She planned to take the items to the capital, saying some nobles there would surely want them. Her attendants told her she was far better suited to merchant work than janitor work and encouraged her to work hard properly as a merchant from now on. Claire told them to come along. Christina reflected that she normally would not engage in such a transaction, but Claire had drive and her sincerity came across. She also sympathized a bit with Claire's situation. She said that if Claire could recognize true value, she may have good commercial intuition and hoped she would become a fine merchant. Claire declared that the next time they met she would be a top merchant and would make Christina's shop her go-to supplier. She introduced herself as Claire Eisenborg. Even though it was later than planned due to the unexpected transaction, Christina decided to open the shop. Inspired by the tiny rookie merchant, she was able to do business with a refreshed spirit that day. Chapter 8. Back at the inn, Christina finished transferring the contents of bags and bottles from the other world into containers from this world so that no one could tell where she had sourced them. All that was left was to see if the landlady would believe her and accept the ingredients. She headed to the dining hall for her final mission to negotiate with the landlady. She entered the dining hall and greeted the landlady. The landlady welcomed her and asked if she was there to order dinner. She apologized for not being able to serve the hero bowl the day before and asked what she would like today. Christina said she had managed to get her hands on something through a certain connection. She presented the 3 ingredients, rice, vinegar, and soy sauce, and asked if the landlady could make the hero bowl with them. The landlady was shocked and said there was no way that could be right, since it had been years since those 3 ingredients vanished. She said they had to be fakes. Christina asked the landlady to check the ingredients herself since she could not judge their quality on her own. The landlady reluctantly agreed. After examining them, she was stunned to find that the rice was real. The vinegar and soy sauce turned out to be genuine as well. The landlady exclaimed that they were all real and asked where on earth she had gotten them. Christina explained that she had been skeptical herself, but the landlady had just proved they were the real deal. She said she bought them from a merchant she happened to run into, and that the merchant said it was all his remaining stock before leaving town, so she did not know any further details. The landlady was overjoyed, calling it a miracle that the 3 ingredients were available again, and asked to buy all of them for her place. She offered a price, but Christina was surprised at how low it was given the ingredients' rarity. Christina said it was a special price, and in exchange the condition was that the landlady had to make her a truly outstanding hero bowl. The landlady eagerly agreed, saying she would put her heart and soul into making it, and told her to wait right there. The negotiation went well, and Christina was thrilled that she would finally get to eat the hero bowl she had been dreaming of. She happily waited for it to be finished. Other customers in the dining hall noticed the commotion coming from the kitchen. One remarked that the kitchen was pretty loud, and another thought they heard something about the 3 ingredients but was not sure. Christina giggled to herself, thinking that everyone would have to wait for their turn. She noticed that a pair of elves had been staring at her the whole time. She figured that elves had good hearing and they might have overheard her conversation with the landlady and wondered if they wanted the hero bowl too. Rumors spread quickly and people started rushing to the dining hall asking if it was true that the hero bowl was being served. One man said he came thinking there was no way it could be true, but the smell of vinegared rice seemed real. Before long, the dining hall was full of people. The landlady apologized for the wait and brought out the hero bowl, telling Christina to enjoy the famous Sarai hero bowl to her heart's content. The bowl was beautifully presented with sliced fish on vinegared rice, along with a side dish of soy sauce. The crowd gasped in amazement. Christina exclaimed that the hero bowl she had dreamed about had finally been served. She dissolved the wasabi in the soy sauce and poured it over the bowl as instructed. She gave thanks for the meal and took a bite. She chewed happily and was completely amazed by the taste. An old man eating the hero bowl was moved to tears, saying it was the nostalgic taste of his hometown. She asked if he was from the northeast village that used to make the 3 ingredients. He confirmed that he was the only one left from that village. The land and the village's technology had both been lost. He said he had tried to revive rice many times, but without seed rice there was absolutely no way to grow it. He was also responsible only for the harvest, so he did not have the knowledge to brew vinegar and soy sauce either. He asked the landlady how she got the ingredients. The landlady repeated the story that she got them through a certain connection, and that person had apparently bought them from a merchant they happened to run into, so she did not know the details. The old man said that being able to eat this again felt like a dream. Christina observed the crowd and noted how much the hero bowl was loved by so many people. She thought about whether something could be done fundamentally and not just temporarily. She thanked the landlady for the meal and said she was completely satisfied. She headed back to her room, wondering if there was any seed rice in Shirley's grimoire. She decided to check just to be sure. She sat on her bed and checked the grimoire, but seed rice was not available after all. She told herself not to give up hope since it might show up in a limited-time catalog. She yawned, feeling sleepy after being busy since morning and eating until she was stuffed. She quickly fell asleep. During the night, Christina sensed something was wrong. She realized a sleep spell had been cast on her. She tried to speak but could not finish her words before falling unconscious. The dark-haired elf from the dining hall confirmed that she was sound asleep. He declared that they were taking this girl. He said he had already called the wyvern and that there was no chance of being spotted at night. She was going to face judgment. The other elf asked the dark-haired one, calling him Arion, if he was absolutely sure this girl was the culprit. Arion confirmed it. They flew off on the wyvern over the town at night, carrying the unconscious Christina. Christina woke up groaning. She found herself in a narrow room with no windows and iron bars. She realized it was a prison cell. Beyond the bars were the two elves she recognized from the dining hall. She figured she had been put to sleep with magic, kidnapped and brought here. As the daughter of a noble, she had been taught since she was young how to prepare for a contingency, so she told herself to stay calm and assess the situation. She called out to the elves, asking where she was and what their objective was. The white-haired elf told her to calm down with the volume. Arion told her she had guts for a criminal. She was shocked and asked what she had done. Arion told her she was going to be put on trial and to stay quiet until then. He called her a seed rice thief. She was stunned at being called a thief. Arion accused her of providing rice with suspicious origins at the Sarai Inn. He said the rice must have been seed rice that they had been storing and that she stole. She remembered the moment she had given the ingredients to the landlady. She insisted it was a misunderstanding, saying she was a merchant and that all the rice and other goods she supplied to the inn were sourced by her. Arion called her a liar. He said they had checked every ship that docked at the port recently and none of them had unloaded any seed rice or regular rice. He told her that the only reason she had rice was because she stole it and demanded she reveal her source if she claimed otherwise. She could not answer since she could not mention the catalog mail order from the other world. Arion took her silence as proof. She desperately insisted she really did not steal anything but could not figure out how to convince them. An older female elf arrived. Arion and the white-haired elf called Riot greeted her, asking if this was the girl they captured in Sarai. The older elf looked at Christina and said, "Oh." Christina called out to her as grandmother. The older elf declared that the filthy half-elf was definitely the seed rice thief. Arion agreed, saying she was frantically claiming innocence but it was just the nonsense of a mixed blood, and that putting her on trial would clarify everything. The grandmother suddenly ordered them to open the cell immediately and release the girl. Arion was confused, protesting that if they set this girl free she was guaranteed to steal again, and that a half-elf belonged in a jail cell. The grandmother firmly told them to just open it. She declared that this child could not possibly be a seed rice thief. She was her daughter Martine's child, her beloved granddaughter Christina. Arion was shocked. Christina recognized her grandmother and was overjoyed. The cell was opened and they embraced. The grandmother said the last time they met was at Martine's funeral 3 years ago, and that she was certainly surprised to be reunited under these circumstances. She scolded Arion, saying he had discriminated against her granddaughter just because she was a half-elf. Arion nervously agreed. Christina asked to be let out and confirmed that this was the File elf village in the Utilia forest. Christina took in the village and remarked on the refreshing breeze and rich greenery, saying it always calmed her no matter when she visited. Her grandmother agreed that the village was truly a peaceful place under normal circumstances, that is. She explained that lately everyone had been on edge because of a certain incident that came to light which coincided with the seed rice thief issue. She apologized for Arion and the others' rough handling, explaining that they probably rushed ahead because they were so desperate for a solution. Christina wondered what in the world had happened in this village. At the elder's house, Christina's grandmother summarized the situation. She confirmed that Arion and Riot had been investigating the seed rice theft in Sarai, and that they obtained information that Christina was supplying rice to an inn. They suspected she was the culprit. As a result of their investigation over the past few days, there had been no ships that unloaded seed rice or rice in Sarai, nor any merchants who handled it. Christina was in possession of rice and claimed she could not explain how she obtained it. The grandmother asked Christina what she meant by saying she could not say. Christina asked if she could ask something first. She wanted to know why this village had seed rice in the first place. She had heard that the village that cultivated rice was destroyed by a dungeon monster outbreak, and that the seed rice should have been lost as well. Her grandmother explained that this village had been entrusted with several requests by the first hero. One of those was to protect rice and soybeans. Seed rice and soybeans were regularly brought from the rice-growing villages and stored using preservation magic. When villages were struck by famine or natural disasters, the elves were tasked with distributing them. The village was protected by a labyrinth barrier cast by the first hero, so ordinary people could not reach it. However, about a year ago, the villagers from the rice-growing village stopped coming. Thinking it strange, the elves went down from the village to ask and learned that the village had been destroyed. While they were troubled over what to do with nothing left to store, an incident of seed rice theft occurred as well. Christina realized the gravity of the situation. Not only was a large amount of seed rice and soybeans stolen from the warehouse, but even the koji the village produced. The warehouse keeper was severely injured. The grandmother said she could not forgive such a despicable criminal and told Christina that if she said she was not the culprit, she needed to show them proof. Christina understood that she could no longer keep the grimoire hidden. She revealed the magic grimoire, explaining that it allowed her to order products from another world. That was how she obtained rice and soy sauce. If she placed an order for items listed in the grimoire, an exclusive merchant would bring them to her. The grandmother recognized the grimoire, asking if it was what Martina had brought to the RICHEST household as her bridal goods. She asked when Christina had learned spirit magic to awaken it, since until now no one had been able to contract with the grimoire. Christina explained that she originally received the blessing of spirit magic but never learned how to use it, and that she was able to contract with the grimoire thanks to another blessing that awakened a few months ago. The grandmother asked to see the grimoire. She held it and noted that in the past she could not even sense the power dwelling within it, but now an incredible amount of power was overflowing from it. Ariane and Riot were shocked, exclaiming that it was impossible. The grandmother recognized the power as that of Spirit Queen Charlie. Ariane and the others seemed to understand right away. Christina was surprised, realizing that the Spirit Queen's name was Charlie, and that was why the grimoire was called Charlie's grimoire. The grandmother explained that Charlie was the Spirit Queen who revered Kanan Arrest, one of the first hero's companions. Now the acquisition route was clear. She asked whether they really thought Christina, who was acknowledged by such a being, would betray the elves. The grandmother asked if the Spirit Queen would permit such a thing. Ariane and Riot were stunned and deeply apologized for their many acts of disrespect, begging for forgiveness. Christina told them not to be so apologetic and that as long as they understood, it was fine. She said she truly felt blessed to have been able to contract with the grimoire. The grandmother declared the matter settled and ordered Ariane and Riot to restart the investigation into the real thief. She said she was glad the misunderstanding was cleared up. Christina agreed but noted it was still worrying that the actual thief had not been caught. The grandmother explained that the elf who guided the thieves had already been captured. He was someone who had recently sought refuge in the village from elsewhere, and they had let their guard down. He confessed that he was hired by a noble for money, but the employer used a false name so they could not identify them. They would just have to search patiently. Christina remarked that it sounded like quite a large organization. The grandmother agreed, saying in recent years the royal family and the demon race had been clashing over ownership of the Great Forest. There were also rumors that the dungeon monster outbreak was orchestrated by the demon race. She explained that Ariane and the others originally lived in the Memento Great Forest in the east, but monsters burned the world tree, causing them to lose its protection, and they fled to this village. Christina thought about what a dangerous world it had become. The grandmother noted that a new hero had been summoned because of these events. Christina mentioned that she had already been removed from the hero-exclusive merchant guild, so she would not be involved. The grandmother told her that since she came all the way to the village, she should take it easy and relax. Christina said there was somewhere she would like to go, and asked her grandmother to come with her. They visited the grave of Martina Farrell. Christina prayed at her mother's grave, telling her that due to certain circumstances she was disowned by the RICHEST family, but that thanks to the grimoire her mother left behind, she was enjoying her travels as a merchant. She asked her mother to continue watching over her. Christina said she was able to report on how she had been doing. They walked through the village and Christina noticed a small building. She asked if that was the warehouse that was attacked. Her grandmother said it was a spare storage warehouse and that fortunately it was not discovered by the thieves. If even that had been attacked, they truly would have been left with 0 seed rice and soybeans. Christina realized that there was still seed rice remaining. She made an earnest request to her grandmother. Her grandmother understood the situation, noting that there was a survivor from the destroyed rice-growing village. If they gave that person the seed rice, he should be able to revive rice cultivation. She told Christina to take seedlings with her. The village also cultivated a small amount of rice. The soybeans were a variety suitable for making soy sauce, so she should take those too. The grandmother explained that distributing stored goods to those in need had always been the village's role. They had been troubled because the village was destroyed and there was no one to give them to, but if someone existed, they would not hesitate to help. Christina thanked her, saying that if they could revive rice, soy sauce, and vinegar, many people would be happy. The grandmother praised Christina for having grown splendidly and asked if she had already been entrusted with part of the management of the RICHEST trading company. Christina awkwardly laughed and said she had already been disowned by the RICHEST family. The grandmother was surprised. She told Christina she had worked hard and to eat plenty. They shared a meal of miso soup and white rice. Christina said the miso soup paired perfectly with white rice and that it soaked into a tired body. The grandmother told her that the methods for making soy sauce, miso, vinegar, and mirin had been passed down as secret techniques in the Farrell family for generations. She promised to teach Christina when she became an adult elf, that is, when she turned 50 by human reckoning. Christina was excited to hear this. The other villagers warmly greeted Christina, remarking that Martina's daughter had grown so big and that half-elves sure grew up fast. Christina noted that even though it had been a long time since she last came, everyone was so warm. She reflected that she had not taken a vacation since being disowned by her family, and that she would finally be able to relax properly. 1 week later, Christina said goodbye to her grandmother. She thanked her for taking care of her and promised to carefully deliver the seedlings and soybeans she was entrusted with. Ariane told her he was counting on her. The grandmother embraced Christina and told her to come back to the village anytime. After returning to the inn in Sarai, Christina asked the landlady about the elderly man who survived the village. She went to his house right away to begin negotiations. The old man opened the door and recognized her from the diner. Christina apologized for the sudden visit, saying the landlady told her about him and that she had an important matter to discuss. The old man invited her inside, though he said he could not think of any reason she would have business with him. Christina confirmed that he used to cultivate rice in the northeastern village and asked if he still knew the cultivation methods. The old man said of course he had helped his father in the paddy since he was little and rice farming was his life itself. But while he was heading to Sarai to sell surplus rice, the village was attacked and he lost everything. Even the revived hero bowl at the diner was only temporary in the end. He said there was nothing he could do and that he was powerless. Christina formally introduced herself as a private merchant running the Farrell shop. She introduced Arian as an elf from the village of Farrell. The old man was shocked to hear the name Farrell. Christina said she had brought a business proposal and that if he had the will to revive rice cultivation, they could provide what he needed. She showed him rice seedlings and soybeans stored in the village. The old man was overwhelmed, exclaiming that they still remained. He marveled at the lively seedlings and confirmed that the soybeans were the same variety they grew in his village. He said he was poor and did not have the means to purchase something so precious, seeing as this was a business deal. Christina told him not to worry, saying the Farrell shop was flexible in its arrangements. She asked him to deliver the rice once the harvest season came and said even if it took time she would wait patiently. However, she had two promises, that it would be treated as if he purchased the seedlings from her, and that the existence of the elf village would be kept secret. She asked if he would revive rice cultivation. The old man said of course and promised to give it his all. He said he had already prepared rice paddies behind his house so he could farm again anytime, and that his inability to give up must have called forth this miracle. He worried that the soybeans might go to waste since he did not have the fermentation techniques or knowledge to make soy sauce. Arian told him to leave that to him. He could use magic related to fermentation, and the elder had ordered him to cooperate, including with rice cultivation. Arian said he too had lost his homeland and understood how the old man felt. He told him they should reclaim what was lost. The old man was deeply grateful, saying that a normal life where rice, soy sauce, and vinegar were commonplace may no longer be just a dream. The business negotiations were successfully concluded. Christina felt refreshed with one job done. She said she had eaten hero bowl and paid her respects at her mother's grave, so no regrets remained. She wondered which town to head to next and decided to leave it to chance, throwing a branch to see which direction it pointed. It pointed west, which meant the kingdom of Camembert. Christina recalled that the kingdom of Camembert was the homeland of that villainess, and wondered how she was doing now. She hoped she was doing well. Meanwhile, Claire Eisenborg, the villainess, was trembling in the audience chamber of the Harbarios Kingdom's royal castle. A man who appeared to be the king asked if she was Claire Eisenborg. Claire was shivering from the cold.